The state says it's making progress with keeping ex-cons from ending up back behind bars. Thanks for joining us on this Monday at 10. I'm Rory Johnston. The State Department of Corrections says the rate of released convicts who reoffend and then return to prison now at the lowest in more than a decade. News Channel 5's Jason Lamb spoke with a former prisoner who says the state could do even more to help those who've served time transition back into society.
After spending time in prison for dealing drugs, Calvin Bryant says he's now committed his life to helping others, mentoring at-risk kids through a nonprofit with his full-time job guiding kids in DCS custody.
Oh, it's priceless, man, being able to have the effect on kids' lives and making sure they make the right decisions in everyday life. I feel like it's a dream come true for me.
Through his time in prison, he says he knows the value of programs meant to help inmates transition to life after incarceration, to keep them from coming back.
So it's like having people in position to help these people who can say, I went through the same thing you went through, and I know you can do it.
It's proof that what we are doing in Tennessee is working.
Calvin says he's thinking twice about an announcement released from the State Department of Correction saying the rate of ex-cons reoffending and ending back in prison within 3 years is at its lowest level in more than a decade, less than 30%.
The standardization of offender supervision in the community and the use of graduated sanctions reaffirms that you can be both tough on crime and smart on crime and get better public safety outcomes.
Calvin says he wants to know how many people who are released eventually end up reoffending and going into a different prison system, like federal prison or a local jail, instead of TDOC.
So they don't mean people are not coming back, they're just not going back to the Department of Correction.
Calvin says he thinks the reoffender rates could drop even further if the state allowed even more reentry programs into prisons to deal with the large number of inmates who need their services.
They got to report to their probation officer, they got to do this, do a certain amount of classes. So when do they have time to really go out there and shop those programs that ain't directly in front of them? You see what I'm saying?
All as Calvin and the state both agree, keeping offenders from returning to prison is a top goal. Jason Lamb, News Channel 5.
Thank you, Jason. By the way, the state credits private, nonprofit, and community partnerships for helping to keep those reoffense rates so low.